as I mentioned in the beginning, Raza has really kindly agreed to share some of his experiences here today. He was a teacher for students that participated in the Pakistan USA virtual classroom exchange in early 2020. And right about in the middle of our exchange, this actually time right now is right about in the middle of our virtual exchange when students were connecting from classrooms in various cities in high schools in the US and classrooms in various cities and high schools in Pakistan. And obviously that had to be pivoted really quickly because everyone was sent home and put under quarantine and schools were closed as COVID unrolled. And so Raza really has some firsthand insight into what were some of the challenges of that this pivot presented, and what were some of the positive, how did they address these challenges, and what were some of the positive outcomes that actually came out of having to do this pivot that we might not have anticipated. So Raza, I will let you take it away. You're welcome to say a little bit more about yourself and your school on the next slide if you want.
Okay, thanks, Elizabeth.
And Hope, if you want to move to the next slide, that would be great. And Raza, when you want Hope to just go to the next slide, you can just tell her next slide.
Okay, okay. So I am Raza Shafiq from Lahore, Pakistan. I am teacher at St. Anthony's High School. I'm teaching at St. Anthony's High School since 2016. And one thing that I'm teacher by choice. I love to teach, that's why I'm teaching. And we have a very beautiful campus. St. Anthony's was founded back in 1892, and it has a prestigious history, and we have a tradition to form world's leader. And Pakistan USA virtual exchange program, it was a very unique experience for me and for my students. I was leading a group of students of around 8 students. There were 8 students in my group, and there was a first actual learning-based platform where they exchange their ideas, their thoughts with their fellow American students, and they enjoyed it really very well. So it was really a good learning experience. People from different cultural background, diversity of ideas, so they come together and share their thoughts, share their ideas. So virtual program was, I must say that it was a great learning curve for me and for my student as well. And third point is that, due to the COVID condition, we have to switch our classroom to the home within no time. So there was not even a time for communication that how things gonna work out from home. So these moved so quickly in home. And please, you can move to next slide. Can you move to next slide? So these are basically some common issues which were faced by my students after shifting the whole program, virtual exchange program, to the home. So most of the students were from age bracket 12 to 14 year. This was age bracket of students. So most of the students, they don't have their own equipment like mobile, internet devices, laptops. So that was a basic problem with them, unavailability of equipment and unavailability of sometimes internet devices, or there were also issue of internet signals. So these are the two main fundamental problems faced almost every student when we shifted this learning program to the homes. So the third part, which I felt that they were not so much technology friendly. So it was hard for them to learn about new technology, although we were using Google Classroom for the very first time in virtual exchange program. We were using Flipgrid, and my students are doing good, and they have some expertise over Google Classroom and some expertise over Flipgrid. but when they switched to Zoom meeting, so and other resources, so they were feeling some problems. And another part, before shifting it to the home, we have dedicated a whole classroom at our school. It has all the facilities. It has like TV screen, and we have laptop, we have internet devices, all the facilities for all present inside the room. So uh, after shifting to the home, one more thing which I would like to add, that the level of student, if I'm going to explain something, so the level of student is different, their level of perceiving thing is different. So peer education, I observed that they learn from their fellow student mostly. So if I am unable to communicate to them, or if I am unable to transfer something to them, so they learn it from their fellow student. And another, time management. So when the whole thing is shifted into the home, so they are doing the two projects. They have to take their regular classes, and then they have to manage time for this separately. So they face a lot of issue regarding time management, but in the end, they did a great job. Next slide, please. So in order to address this issue, first of all, I communicated with their parents. So because parents have this mindset that if they are on tablet and if they are on computer, they are might playing the games, or they are not. Parents were aware that there are school timings from like 9 a.m. to 12 or 1 p.m. So we have to provide our children gadget or device at this specific time. So I communicated with their parents that it is a virtual exchange program with American student, and they are exploring different dimensions. They are addressing different issues, cultural conflicts, and different things. So I communicated with their parents, and uh, their parents also helped me a lot, and they understand my point, and they back up me, and they provide students their devices, internet availability, internet backup, uh, because they have to make videos on Flipgrid and share with the fellow American students. So parents back up me, and it was the first task that I communicated with the parents, and I communicate to them that it is something which is also related to the learning. So they have something back in mind that they might playing video game or something else. So I remove this misconception. And secondly, I motivate students to be technology users, because I think it's the future. In future, we're going to have Zoom meeting, we have going to have virtual exchange very much. So I told them that it is one of the best time to to have hand on these technologies, and you can learn time by time. So I also motivated them to ask any question, any queries if they have. I motivated them to ask me freely, because in a classroom they can ask me frequently, but I felt that when this program shifted to online, when they start working from home, they start asking less question. So I felt that it is affecting their learning. So I motivate them to ask questions, and it turned out a good experience. Next slide, please. Next slide.
Before we go to the next slide, you just bring up a really interesting point, and that's connecting to parents. And I love that you did that. And I just wonder how many other virtual exchange people on the call, just in the chat, if you put something about that, because I know with our Tenjin normal instructors, they also, their virtual exchange started to connect with the students at home, and the family wanted to be a part of the virtual exchange conversation. So thank you so much for talking about that. I'm just curious if anyone else with their virtual exchanges, having the whole family get involved. And I'll move to the next slide.
And Raza, I just also wanted to say I hadn't even thought about the different perception of using technological devices in different cultures at home, because I feel like in the U.S. Many kids do work from their tablet or their laptop at home. So thank you for sharing that point about needing to talk to parents about why their students were using the tablet or the laptop more, because I hadn't even thought of that as something that might be different in different parts of the world, but obviously it is, and that makes sense.
Okay. So there are some, you can say, the outcomes from our whole effort. So they start, they have adjusted with technology, and they start exploring about new things. And one thing on which I am very happy that they have become a better researcher. So whenever I told them that go to home and Google this thing, you have to explore this thing. So students, I think they didn't specially open Google or YouTube for this for this purpose. So I told them that you are online, you just have to open another tab and you can open Google, and you can Google whatever your curious is, and they come up with really great research. Some of the point where they contributed very well, and honestly, some of the point they come up with things which I even don't know about the things. So, another thing that I feel that when they start working from home and when when they become used to technology, so they share their idea with more confidence. When they used to share their ideas in classroom, so they were like a little in hesitation that what my friend will say to me and what other will say to me. And when they are at a proper workplace, and they share their idea with more confidence. Thank you. I think I take more time, more than 8 minutes, but thank you so much. And if you have any questions, you are more than welcome.
Yeah. Do we have a couple of minutes right now, or should we wait? What do you want to do?
Hope, I was going to say, maybe if anyone has, Raza, thank you so much. I know it's late on your end, so I really appreciate you connecting, and hopefully you'll stay for the rest of the meeting and join us again in the future. But maybe if anyone has any questions for Raza, you can write them in the chat, and he can look at the Zoom chat and answer them there, so that we can move on to, I know we have a lot of other really fantastic speakers and not a lot of time. So Hope, I will turn it back over to you.
Okay, and actually there's a question right away from John Fowler. What strategies did you find more effective to motivate students to ask more questions and interact more? Great question. All right, so Raza, if you can hit the chat for an answer, that would be awesome. Thank you so much.